Hi, welcome to Milo Talks. I'm Milo, traveling, living, working full-time with my dog Willie Nelson and my Class B van, talking to strangers along the way and just hoping that somewhere in all of this, we all will feel a little bit more connected to each other.
It's been a bit. It's been a minute. Well, I've been busy. I've got a dog and even driving around and traveling and trying to figure out what to do for winter and escaping the cold. I'm sorry. I'm sitting in my mom's house. I'm house sitting in Orlando and all the dogs are really quiet and they're all resting. And I look over and I don't think my mother listens to this, so this is fine. And there is a gecko lizard that just came out from underneath the refrigerator. And that's funny because Willie Nelson, my dog, was all over the bottom of that fridge the other day, and I thought maybe I had just dropped something, but now I see there's a lizard in the house. Okay, back to the podcast. That was just a little, side note, a little bonus for you that I'm sitting here watching a lizard, that the only reason he's out and about right now is because the dogs are still and it's quiet in the house. And the only reason I can even record this is because they are not all over the place and tapping their nails all over the hardwood floors. Okay, so I get this message. I get a text message from Riley. She's a very good friend. I've known her since she was very little. Friends, her parents are some of my very dearest friends. And so she messages me, which I have to say, I love that this child that I knew as a child and has grown into this young woman, she still calls me and messages me and she checks on me and she wants to share her stories with me. So when she said she wanted to be on my podcast, this delighted me. And she wanted to talk about signs. She wanted me to continue my series I had started once before, I guess a few months ago. So this is my recording of Riley and her roommate Jenna, her best friend Jenna. And we're going to start off with Riley explaining how she ended up in the emergency room.
Hello.
Hi. Who did that? Who did that voice message?
Oh, that was from a TikTok that I recorded because I loved it so much. Did you enjoy it?
I did, even the second time I got it.
Oh, yes. Thank you for conforming around our college schedules.
You're welcome. Okay, so continuing from my series a few months ago of signs, this would be part 3, which is funny because I wasn't planning to do a part 3 or even continue this. So thank you for reaching out. And of course, I am happy to record your story. What you messaged me about happened this week. Did it happen just to you or to your roommate also, Jenna? Is it somehow that you're both happening? Did something happen to both of you, or are you both having a different experience?
Yeah. So the most recent thing was with both of us. Like both of the medical emergencies, we were both there.
So we'll go ahead and talk about that. So you were sleeping in your dorm room, because this is a very good PSA for people who hang things on walls. So you're laying in your bed. You had done a DIY project where you put a shelf up with some sticky stuff. You're laying in bed. You get clocked in the head, and you end up in the emergency room. So go ahead. What happens?
Okay, so how that went down is basically I tried to hang some Ikea shelves above my right above my head in my dorm with those like Velcro command strips. And like my college brain was like, oh my gosh, this is totally going to work. Like I'll just put 4 like Velcro command hooks and it'll be all good. And so at about 1 a.m., the whole thing comes crashing down. There's like a plant on the shelf. There was like a little like picture frame, and Jenna wakes up and she's like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And so in the next 20 minutes, I proceeded to like lose my vision, lose my hearing. Like everything went blurry. Like we had the RA come in. She's like, yeah, your pupils are super dilated. Like I threw up twice. Like we're like, yeah, this isn't good. But then none of my parents were answering the phone. So I wasn't sure like, hey, do I go to the urgent care? Do I go to the ER? Because like, granted, this is my first week in college. Like this is my first time living on my own. And like, I've been here for maybe 5 days. And now my roommate has like basically having to take care of me. Like, you don't expect to get a concussion the first week you're in college, but here we go. So yeah, the next day my mom drove up and ended up in the ER. They did a CT scan of my brain. They're like, yeah, no bleeding, but you got a pretty severe concussion from that Ikea shelf. I think we had probably 5 adults say, okay, well, so what did you learn from this situation? Let's not hang like things with IKEA. Let's not hang shelves with command hooks above your head anymore. So yeah, that was quite an experience. And I told Jenna sorry 100 times. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is not what I was expecting. But
where was the sign in all this? The sign was what? You got clocked on the head 5 days into college. What was your sign to go home?
Well, okay, so that's one thing that happened. And that was just like, okay, wow, like a medical emergency 5 days into college. That was one thing. But then about, 3 days later, we had another medical emergency come up, and I'll let Jenna tell that story, and then we'll explain the signs.
Yeah, so so this is just to set it all up, to tie it together. But we had 2 friends come and visit from Salt Lake, 2 of our really close friends. One of them is a senior in high school, so he's looking at going to college up here. And so they came to visit. We had a nice day. We went to hot springs, hung out with them all day. Everything was going really smoothly, which is unusual. And then we took them on like a walk around campus, just a tour. And we have longboards, a group of us. And so some of us know how to ride them. And one of our friends, Max, was riding down the road. And it's kind of, some of the different parts of the road have like cracks that are larger than others. So it's not uncommon to fall. Anyway, so he fell off the board, but we were like a good distance away. And so it almost looked like he was joking with us, because that's something that Max does. And so then I think, like, wasn't it Mahmoud ran over?
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah. And then like Max stood up and then sat back down, and then everyone ran over to him, and he was like, hey guys, like I really don't feel good. And his friend Mahmoud had like his mask like cupped under his chin, and like I looked at his chin, and it was just like completely like shredded open. Like I could tell immediately, like, yeah, he needs stitches. And then Jenna like ran to go get the car. Ran. I've never seen this girl run this fast ever.
Like I was terrified, because it was the same thing pretty much that had happened to you, where he passed out.
Yeah.
And that was like, I didn't know anything about concussions before, barely, but after having like been through you going through one, and then feeling powerless, like not able to do anything about it, and just terrified. And so as soon as like Max passed out, I was like, uh-oh, like we have to do something. So yeah, I ran to get the car, and then Riley stayed and just checked on him.
And he did pass out twice, and we're like, yeah, he has a concussion. And then I told him, I was like, dude, like, what are the chances that literally within 3 days, like 2 of us got a concussion? And we took him to the ER that night, and they're like, yep, we got a concussion. He got 14 stitches in his chin too. So
pretty gnarly.
And like both of us, like both Max and I have never had a serious injury, like in our entire existence. Like, you know, I've had like a couple like bumps and bruises, or like, you know, like a couple ski injuries, but I've never landed myself in the ER, or like never even had to have like medical intervention. So the fact that like that happened to both of us within the span of 3 days was just like insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm laughing because I'm like, where is this going? Like, okay, so you've had a concussion. You ended up in the hospital. Your friend comes to visit. Concussion, 14 stitches. He must have had an enormous chin.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Okay, so what's the sign, guys? Where are we at?
There's a couple different interpretations, but one thing that just I found so funny is that every time there has ever been like a serious emergency, my family has always resorted to going to get fried chicken afterwards. So like when I was in Louisiana visiting home, I went into anaphylactic shock because I drank a hazelnut iced coffee that I was allergic to. And like after I was better and everything, my dad's like, okay, that was kind of traumatic. Let's go get Popeyes. Like, let's go like, you know, take our minds off of this. We went and got Popeyes and got fried chicken. And then my mom came up this past week to take me to the ER. She's like, okay, like, you know, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Let's go get Chick-fil-A. And so we went to Chick-fil-A and got fried chicken. And so after Max had gotten injured, Jenna was just joking around because I had told her this story, and she's like, hey guys, let's go to Chick-fil-A. Like,
I mean, like, I have had very few experiences at the ER, so listening to Riley, like, that's just what you do.
Yeah. And so, but like all the Chick-fil-A's were closed, and like the Wendy's were closed.
It was late.
Yeah, this was like at past midnight, I think. So we're like, okay, like, bummer, we just won't do that. But so like we just forgot about it. And then as we were walking home, like in the parking garage, guess what's on the ground, like right in front of the door, like right in the middle of the parking garage is a piece of fried chicken, like a whole, like an entire chicken breast. And like, they're just scattered over the parking garage, probably like 3 or 4 pieces. And we just looked at each other and we're like, what are the chances? So, well, I don't know, Milo, like that was like,
So let me just get this straight. The sign you received this week was chicken you could not eat because it was scattered all over the ground that someone had dumped.
Yeah.
To be the symbol of closure for the injuries you had sustained that week with you and your friend.
I think so. And what was wild about it is that we had just sat in the car talking for like 30 minutes, just like unwinding from everything that had gone on, because that was the end of the night. Like we had dropped the boys off at where they were staying and, fed everybody. And so it was like we had a discussion about like maybe like why this week has been so insane and like adulthood and everything that just needed to be talked about. And that was like the end of it. Like we got out of the car and there was the chicken.
And it was closure. It really was. It was closure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're going to get hurt, right? You are going to get hurt when you hang things over your head that could possibly fall when you're sleeping. So that was a lesson, right? That I'm not sure if it was a sign or like, let's talk about it. What's the difference between a sign and just a life lesson? Is there a difference? I mean, I think there is, right? So are we talking about the sign from the universe saying, hey, this is the right path? Or what do you feel like maybe the chicken on the ground was the universe saying, okay, we're not going to hurt you anymore this week?
Hopefully not this week, but yeah, that's interesting. Well, like something that came to my head is like, this is totally random, but like, fried chicken and like Southern comfort food has like just been a sign of like my childhood. Like when I was like upset or hurt, like my grandparents like make me comfort food. And I was telling Jenna, I was like, she actually said like this week felt so hard because we're doing it on our own. Like we don't have parents here to like drive us to the hospital or like be like, hey, it's going to be okay. Like, yeah, like we can call them, but they're not physically here to like, we're the adults in this, like we're the responsible ones. I think that's why part of it was like, it felt like so much, like it felt like this huge weight was on our shoulders. And so I was like, maybe this is me like letting go of my childhood and kind of realizing like, hey, like I don't really have that comfort all the time anymore. And so maybe this is like the universe saying it's time to let go, or maybe hopefully it's saying it's not going to hurt me anymore this week. But that'd be really
I think going through things like that are really important as far as growth and understanding and it took the fear away of something. So what it did is it set you both up for the injury your friend had. Had you not already experienced the hospital and the signs of being concussed, you would not maybe have responded with maybe the calmness or the understanding as to what to expect with his situation, and then on going to a hospital, what to expect. So it prepped you to help your friend in a calm and a quick response. So one led you to be ready for the second. Does that make sense?
Yes. Like we both looked at each other and our eyes got really big because that's like, you're so right. Like that's absolutely true.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but definitely. Like,
I think we're constantly being set up for success. If there's a sign, like, listen, I've been on the fence for this the entire time I've been talking about these things, but I feel like if there are signs, then the signs are, I'm going to prepare you and lay a course for you so you can better navigate what's in front of you. And with the minor injury that you sustained, now you are set and prepared for who knows what else. Not that you're going to get hurt, but you are better able, right? I think all of life is lessons, but if there really is something happening where somebody is helping guide or shape or form, then it would make sense that we have to have hardships. We have to have things that hurt us physically, mental, spiritually, whatever, to build our character and our resilience and the calluses of our soul, right? So we have to become callous to be able to walk the walk. You can't stay soft in the coddle of your parents, right? So everything you're doing now through college, that's the callus. This is what's setting you up for success for the rest of your life. That's why this step is, I feel, important, whether it be this or Peace Corps or military, whatever this phase, right, of your existence gives you the calluses to get you to the next. So sign, perhaps, life lesson, perhaps, who knows? But I do applaud you for like trying to figure it out. Like, what's all this about? Is this a sign? But the chicken on the ground was actually somewhat disgusting, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely it was. But it was also like, we're also just like, what? Because we were just talking about like, fried chicken after medical emergency. Then we walk in the parking garage and it's like, wow, would you look at that?
So there was your closure. So you needed it, and now you know that it's over, and maybe eating the chicken wasn't what you needed, just the sign to say, okay, job well done, you survived it, okay, let's move on, keep going. So yeah, I like it. I'm glad you guys shared the story with me.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, of course, now that we've talked about it a bit, or that I've explained kind of my thoughts to you, do you guys have anything else to add about it?
I don't know. I think it's definitely like, you can learn something from any situation. And so like, I think I've just been trying to like extract like, hey, maybe this is just me letting go, or like there's always something to be learned, and I think what you said about like forming calluses is definitely true. Like there's like a bunch, all the cheesy quotes, like no rain, no flowers, but like it's true. Like you really, like you have to go through the hard stuff in order to prepare yourself for the future. And you also like, I've appreciated being healthy so much more now, and like just having all my friends healthy, and just, like I became an EMT also because I hated that feeling of not knowing what to do. And I actually got to use my skills this week, which also made me appreciate that a little bit more. So a lot has been learned. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah. So I'm glad that everyone is okay. And I'm glad that your friend only had, a messed up chin. That'll be a good story for his life, I guess, with the scar that he may probably have. Yeah. But,
really
yeah. But yeah. And I guess the fact that you had boys come up to college, that's a whole nother story. Like, what do you? I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey, Mama, you listening to this? Just right.
Actually, I know you both, and I know that would be very, very true.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just more happy that you have friends and that you were at college and that you're having these experiences, good and bad, and that it's going to set you up for success. And I'm excited to watch it unfold for you both. So thank you so much for helping me with this today. And thanks so much for reaching out. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course,
yeah,
Jenna.
Thanks, Milo.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Note to self, always let the young adults share their stories. That was actually fun for me, and I hope it left your face smiling as mine was after that call. I told them that we would do a college update once a month, the Jenna and Riley college update. They may get too busy for it, but it would be fun and nice to see how their life unfolds and see how many times they get to eat fried chicken. Hopefully not that much. Please join me next time as I am asked van life questions. It has been a year since I moved full-time into my van, and I asked people to post questions. Those answers will be next. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and I hope you don't have a friend. This is the sound of my dog drinking water in the background. Those questions will be next. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and I hope you don't have a fried chicken worthy experience. And the noise you hear is Willie Nelson finally waking up. Today's show is brought to you by Trampled Rose Rescue and Rehab. Did you know that if you go on Amazon, you can set up basically a different account under Amazon Smiles? And every time you make a purchase through that account, through that shopping cart that says Amazon Smile, you can pick the charity, the nonprofit charity that you would like to donate to. Mine is set to Trampled Rose Rescue and Rehab. And that is because I know the owner of this facility in southern Louisiana, and she's a downright just an amazing human being. So all of my Amazon purchases, I do Amazon Smile so that it may just be pennies, but those pennies, if they're going to go somewhere, I like them to go to Holly in Louisiana and Trampled Rose Rescue and Rehab. Will you join me?
This has been Milo Talks. You can find me on social medias at Next Exit Milo. Follow me there on Instagram and Facebook.